Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Spark Bowl and welcome to Delaware Valley University. My name is Tanya Casas. I'm the Dean of Business, Arts, and Sciences here at the university, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for this year's event. This year is a milestone year. It is our 5th Spark Bowl year. Spark Bowl is the outcome of a unique and innovative cooperation between the Central Bucks Chamber of Commerce, the Department of Business and Information Management here at the university, and Startup Bucks, a nonprofit organization that works with local entrepreneurs. Our cooperative partnership serves the local business community and our students as well. The finalists competing this evening have worked together with an advisor from Del Val Small Business and Entrepreneurship Center and a student team. The students are all part of an Entrepreneurship in Practice course taught by our business faculty. Through this course and through their collaboration with the advisors and finalists, our students have a real opportunity to see firsthand some of the planning and problem solving that young businesses and organizations confront. The Spark Bowl is a great example of what we do best here at Del Val, experiential learning. It's now my honor to introduce Dr. Ben Rusolowski, President of Delaware Valley University.
Thanks so much, Tanya. Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the 5th annual Spark Bowl competition. We are truly pleased to see the continuation of this important community project between Del Val's Department of Business and Information Management, the Central Bucks Chamber of Commerce, and Startup Bucks. I would like to thank Teresa Farah for her partnership on Spark Bowl in her second year as President and CEO of the Central Bucks Chamber of Commerce. Our relationships, as many of you know, are very important to me and very important to our students and faculty at Del Val, and we've enjoyed building this new relationship with you and others on your team over the past 2 years. I'd also like to welcome back Det Anson, founding board member of Startup Bucks, and thank you for our partnership with this event and for being with us again this year. Det was with us earlier this fall as our 2024 Watson Executive in Residence speaker and shared his interesting career path with our students, faculty, and staff, and we're very grateful for his mentorship of our students. I'd also like to thank Bill Schutt for the time, talent, and expertise he contributes to this important event. Bill is a former Del Val trustee and a longtime friend to both the institution and to me. The Small Business and Entrepreneurship Center, or SBEC as we know it here on campus, is part of our business department. And this event, the Spark Bowl, is an excellent example of Del Val's philosophy of science with practice or knowledge by doing. Our students work with the businesses competing this evening to learn, to support, and to help create the presentations that are part of tonight's program. This is an outstanding example of Del Val's Experience 360 program, where our students gain real-world experience, hands-on, in their field of study prior to graduation, while being mentored by our business faculty under the leadership of Chair Christine Seal. With that, I wish everyone good luck tonight, and we look forward to the competition. It's now my pleasure to introduce my friend, Teresa Farah, President and CEO of the Central Bucks Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the warm welcome, Ben. The Chamber is delighted to partner with Del Val on this exciting initiative. I'm always amazed by the innovative talent and fresh new business ideas coming from our community. There's no doubt that we will be inspired by the spirit of the entrepreneurs we are about to hear from this evening. I applaud your efforts in coming forth to meet the challenge. The Chamber's mission is to help empower businesses and unite communities. And this program embodies all that we are, and frankly, it's one of the reasons why it's one of my favorites of the year. You truly capture the essence of the American spirit and give us hope for the future. On behalf of the Central Bucks Chamber of Commerce, best of luck to all the participants. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Det Anson, founder and board member of Startup Bucks.
Good evening. On behalf of Startup Bucks and its board and amazing volunteers, we are proud to support this event with Delaware Valley University and the Central Bucks Chamber of Commerce. Startup Bucks is committed to the growth of entrepreneurship and startups within Bucks County. We've distributed more than $600,000 in grants that have helped startups go from an idea into full-fledged businesses. We're proud to support this program. I'm excited personally to see the companies present this evening. And again, thank you for coming here this evening, whether you are faculty, whether you're students, whether you are simply an entrepreneur or enthusiastic about the tremendous innovations happening in our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Det. I now want to introduce to you another champion of the Spark Bowl event and one of its founders. Mr. William Schutt is a former member of the Board of Trustees here at the university and is an honorary degree recipient as well. We're grateful to Mr. Schutt for his leadership and for his desire to cultivate innovation in our community and in our university. Luckily for our contestants, he's serving as one of the Spark Bowl judges tonight. I'm happy to invite Mr. Schutt to the podium to introduce the other judges. Thank you.
Good evening. Before we introduce the judges, I just want to say that this event is so unique in that we have student teams assigned to every business, and the student teams also participate in the prize money. This just doesn't occur anyplace else. As he said, this is our 5th year of running the Spark Bowl, and we're just so pleased that it's been accepted and successful. I introduce the judges. We have Kevin Putman Jr., and he is the president and CEO of Penn Color, local international business, and he is also the chair of the Central Bucks Chamber of Commerce. I'm thanking, although he's not here, Michael Ayrton, who this would have been his 5th year as a judge, and he had an emergency, and Kevin was kind enough to step in and fill that spot. Daniel Maloney is an investor in and advisor in various early-stage technology companies. I joke with him that he probably owns more companies than we know about, and he's the former president of Motorola Mobility. You can read about the judges in the program. Blair Rush is the executive vice president and regional president for the Southeast region for CNN Bank. Uniquely, at least for this group of judges, he earned his Bachelor of Science degree here at Del Val. So he's a grad, and he's on the board of Del Val University. So we thank him for being here. This is Blair's 2nd year as a Shark. So I want to thank all the Sharks for their participation and their donations towards the prize money. So everybody knows we give allow 5 minutes presentation for the contestants. And we are extremely strict about that and cut them off so that we're very fair. And then we will have 10 minutes of questions by the judges. After all 5 are finished, the judges will leave the room and we'll sort it all out and come back and then make the announcement of the top 3 winners. So thank you all for being here and enjoy it.
Thank you, Mr. Schutt. So I do want to talk a bit about the process. Just so you know, I will be introducing each of the contestants and the name of their business. As Mr. Schutt said, each contestant has no more than 5 minutes to pitch their business idea. To perfect their pitches, each Spark Bowl competitor has worked with an assigned student team and an advisor. Once the 5 minutes is up, the Spark Bowl judges will have 10 minutes to ask questions of the contestants about their business proposal. And again, they'll be given a 1-minute left warning. You'll hear a little bell. All pitches will be rated on research quality, business analysis, scalability, marketability, final plan, and the ability of their business to positively impact the economic future and prosperity of Bucks County. Without further ado, I'm happy to invite our first Spark Bowl contestant, David Rosenberg, founder of Horton.
Good evening. My name's Dan Rosenberg. I'm the founder of Horton. Horton is an automated answering service for businesses, and we're based right here in Bucks County. I've had a career in building and bringing new products to market, starting with my time at Johnson & Johnson, continuing with Comcast, Accenture, and most recently with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I'm also the father of 3 school-age children. And like most school-age children, mine get sick a lot. When I call our pediatrician off hours or in the middle of the night, we're rerouted to an answering service. And what that answering service does is has a human translate a series of scripted questions to me and relays the answers to the pediatrician. When I spoke with physicians about their experience using answering services, what I learned was that they had a series of unaddressed pain points, including the cost, the overhead, as well as the total efficacy of that process. This is where the idea for Horton was born. I worked with a team of advisors, built a proof of concept, validated that proof of concept with real end users, and moved forward with building a pragmatic solution to the traditional live agent answering service. Getting started with Horton is easy. From directly within any web browser, you simply navigate to horton.care and you sign in. From within that web app, you're able to personalize and self-manage your own answering service to suit your business's needs. Horton sits on Google's cloud infrastructure, which means it's built for both scalability and security. And at its core, Horton is meant for personalization. From directly within that same web app, a business can set up their own services to suit their needs, setting a greeting, notification preferences, establish a call tree, and importantly, use Horton's proprietary call flow prompts to create a back and forth answering service for their business. Listening and transcribing and reading the services, the messages that they receive, is the heuristic and familiar experience that you've come to expect from a modern app. You have filtering, flagging, other workflow features that are meant to improve businesses' efficiencies. And though the initial inspiration for Horton was in healthcare, quickly realized that this basic paradigm, an asynchronous conversation between a professional and a customer, is not limited to a single market. In fact, though Horton is novel in its approach, it'll be operating in a $30 billion industry that is very well defined for similar services. At one end of the spectrum, there's a traditional call center. This is the experience that most of us have when we call a large business and an agent answers the phone. There's also regional mom and pops. They look and feel much like a call center, but on a much, much smaller scale. And at the other end of the spectrum, there's communications platforms as a service. And what they do is provide the tools and the technology to power not only call centers, but any business's synchronous or asynchronous conversations with customers. So if you're one of the 130,000 or so businesses in Bucks County alone, the plurality of which are small businesses, you're left searching in this sea of options that's right fit for you. Horton is meant to be the Goldilocks in this metaphor, the right size fit for smaller businesses without the pain points that the traditional model has today. Horton has a competitive advantage in the market owed to its operating cost model. The traditional approach is nearly 90% personnel-based expenses. With Horton, we've eliminated that cost factor. We've invested more heavily in our tech stack, which allows us to more than halve the per-call operating costs for our business. In turn, what that allows us to do is distinguish ourselves in 3 primary ways to the market. The first is in cost savings. Compared to the advertised prices of our competitors, Horton is 75% more cost-effective. The next is in efficiencies. You can be up and running, and our beta testing has shown it, with Horton in under 5 minutes, which saves business time. And the last is in consistency. We heard time and time again when we spoke with small business owners, they wanted more control over their outbound communications. Horton delivers that in its personalization. We are on the cusp of our go-to-market strategy. Our intention is to move forward with a subscription-based model, selling to sole and small businesses at a price point that will yield a 70% gross profit margin. Our goal is to sell 250 subscriptions blended across these demographics, which will yield a $300,000 annual revenue. We've had an exciting past several months. We're onboarded to Google's startup program, which allows us some operational advantages. We've recently filed for and been awarded a provisional patent for our process flow, and we're gearing up for our go-to-market strategy, preparing marketing and prepared to move forward in the next coming days.
Thank you. Let me ask you the first question. You have here pre-market.
Yes.
And maybe I missed it when you were talking. When do you go to market, and how are you going? What do you see as projection for the first year in business profit?
Yeah, so our plan is to sell 250 subscriptions over the next 2 years. And the trajectory, William, is, I think, unknown at this point. If it's a balance 50-50, I think that's reasonable. We're planning for our go-to-market, which will be a combination of working through organizations that already have media brochures that I can advertise in, as well as ad placement online, so that we can start to get the right balance of what is my cost for acquiring a new customer and what is their lifetime value, so that we can really dial in the marketing approach over time.
Other sharks?
Yeah, maybe you can just talk a little bit about how you see AI playing into this with the chatbots, and how do you expand your service going forward?
Yeah, great question. So I think this really comes back to pragmatism. So my core demographic, tradespeople, business owners, marketers, entrepreneurs, they know their businesses very, very well. They know strictly the conversation they want to have with callers when they come in. The example that I love to use is a plumber. When you call your plumber, he knows exactly what he's going to ask you. Where's the issue in your home? When can I come out and check it out? Is there an emergency? Those are 3 distinct questions. I think that for small businesses, adopting something like an AI, where it's going to project and maybe guess at what you want to have a conversation with, is overkill. Horton is meant to fit that need where you know very strictly what you want to say and how you want to say it, so that you can empower a good conversation with your callers every time.
Can you talk to me about your financing structure? What kind of financing are you looking at to get this off the ground? Am I correct that you presently have no sales? Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So where are you at in your financing structure?
We are fully bootstrapped. So this will be our first opportunity to raise some funds, which will go directly to marketing. The intention is to build a really profitable business. So I'd like to say that Horton is profitable by design. We only need 2 customers to turn black. And so it's an opportunity for us to grow a business very naturally and organically, rather than need to have a large investment to be able to move forward. So our balance now is, let's go out to market. Let's have trial and error, do some A/B testing, see what works from a marketing approach, so that we can then fund that growth in a way that is the right growth model for Horton.
If I can just follow up to that, Kevin. Fire away. So have you done a financial pro forma on where do you see yourself at the end of year 1?
Yeah, so if we start year 1 in January, the hope is that we're at a point where we have broken even, and we're at a point where we can even start to expand on some of our marketing opportunities. So if we're at 150, 175 in profit margin, in gross revenue, that'll put us in a really great position to start to accelerate some of that growth. Now, what I expect is that we'll have an opportunity to have more conversations with capital and see whether or not we can accelerate and bring more team members onto the team so that we can expand. Eventually, there will need to be dedicated resources to be able to do this more than just me. And so that is absolutely a part of our conversation. And I think what we want to do is treat this like design thinking. We'll get an experience out there, we'll see what the market says, and make good decisions based on the results that our users tell us.
I'd like to better understand your go-to-market a little bit, and really your target customer base. If I heard you right, your target seems to be smaller businesses.
Correct.
How do you define that?
That's a great question. So one of the great opportunities that we have is in SEO, so search engine optimization. call centers, answering services, digital receptionists, any of those combinations perform so well in ad placement online. And so the market is there for us to expand into. One of the opportunities that we have as a part of being in Google's startup program is that we can dabble in some of those ad placements and they match the funding that we put in. So we can find out very quickly, Kevin, whether or not our answer to the market, our presentation to the market, I should say, is working and whether we're reaching that base. I've also had lots of conversations with small business owners, and there's such a rich community to be able to reach out to very directly. There's a number of professional organizations that have media brochures, advertising, and marketing that I can seamlessly slot into. And I think that building some of that base will allow us to have such more mature conversations when we start to think 3-6 months now, thinking about your question, as we progress over the next year so that we can show up to those conversations really well armed, really speaking to the businesses that we have.
Do you have any beta test partners today?
Yeah, we did. So as a part of this process, I ran a 2-month beta test. We had 3 primary users. They were small business owners, an entrepreneur, a painter, as well as a real estate agent. And the feedback was wonderful. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't really exciting and sort of impactful. What we did was we used that result to inform our product roadmap. So what changes do we need to make? What bugs did we have? How do we want to shape some of the go-to-market strategy as well? And what that's done is it's built a bit of a funnel for us. So we're already out in the market. We're happy with the size of the funnel and the qualified leads that we do have so that we can start to see what works and expand from here. To date, it's been very direct sales. Sure. One-to-one, finding people, talking through it, and building that relationship.
I could hear this this as a commercial on a radio, you know, reaching small business.
Yes, I think so too.
So how big is your team today? You and you? I mean, is it?
Yeah, so I have a lot of roles. So I'm lucky I have a team of advisors, so folks who are physicians, folks who are entrepreneurs, my core end users, as well as professionals who just know business and can advise. On a day-to-day basis, I'm the guy. I'm the designer. I am the builder. I'm the developer. I'm everything. Now, I've had a career in this. I've had a product career in building and being an engineer and bringing things from 0 to 1 to market. So this is what I do well, and so it's worked well for us. But of course, Dan, over time, we want to be able to scale up, and doing that will be adding people and professionals to be able to support the team.
It seems to me that AI and some larger corporations could easily see what you're doing and drop right into this marketplace. I realize you're going for patents. You do not have any yet, right?
No.
Okay. So how do you see the competition here?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we do have our provisional patent, which allows us for holding our place in line.
Right.
And important to our strategy will be finishing that so that it's no longer provisional and is non-provisional and is a utility patent. Thinking about the large businesses, the existing answering services, the telcos that are doing this today, their entire footprint and operating structure is around hiring humans to answer phone calls. So yes, they could absolutely pivot and start to do this automated process. But that would also mean a seismic change in their business and cannibalizing large profit margins that they have today. I think that kind of systemic change would actually be very good for the market. That means that end users having a much better experience. For me, calling in, I have a better experience. For business owners, they're paying less for those services. I think that change, there's a balance. My hope is that we start to lead the vision for what this really could be and actually augment and bring in capabilities like AI to make it easier for my small business owners to craft the right questions to ask their customers and to know what those most efficient follow-up questions are so that it's not so much either AI or this approach, but is a marriage of the two.
Did I understand you correctly? You're the salesperson as well?
I am also the salesperson.
Yeah. So I come back to my pro forma then, you know. Realistically, where do you see yourself in 3 months as far as revenue?
3 months as far as revenue. If we have...
You're going out selling one-on-one, right?
Going out selling one, yes, it's very much direct sales. So I mentioned we have a small funnel. I was really hoping I could show up today, Blair, and say, I have my first customer. I think we're moments away, knock on wood. Someone knock on wood for me. I think that realistically, we have one customer. It's a mid-sized customer. And at the price points that I've shown, that would allow us to break even. So that puts me in a really strong position to be able to continue to grow. And my hope is that in 3 months, I'll have a much better perspective on how did my A/B testing perform on my marketing? How is my ad placement performing? What adjustments do I need to make? We've already lined up some of these things so that we can just move forward. Of course, we are bootstrapped, so I can move forward with this no matter what, so it puts me in a good position. The balance is just maintaining what is the right trajectory, what is the energy, and where do I want to spend the most focused attention so that as the salesman in the room, I'm getting the most return on my own investment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Time's up.
Thank you, David. I'd now like to invite the contestants from Horus Health to the podium. Akhil Petikupa, CEO, Ishan Mahajan, COO, and Dat Tran, CTO, to the stage.
Hi everyone, my name is Akhil and I'm a student at Penn. This is Ishan from Vanderbilt and Dat from MIT. At Horus Health, we're building AI tools to streamline and accelerate the healthcare billing compliance process. When you go in to visit a doctor or nurse, everything in that interaction is recorded on documentation, and based off of that, a series of codes with attached charges are generated and sent to insurance companies. In that process, many times often there are discrepancies or errors that lead to overpayments or claims denials. It's the job of compliance departments within hospitals to make sure that these errors are found.
Currently, healthcare organizations are spending $39 billion each and every year to comply with 629 federal regulatory requirements. As these federal regulatory requirements are increasing by 30% each and every year, compliance analysts are forced to sift through tens of thousands of pages of documents and go through Excel files to do their work. These compliance analysts are overstrained, under-resourced, and use softwares that are outdated in their current workflow, causing them to spend 7 days per audit and $1,200 at each patient admission. This is unacceptable, as it leads to an 89% error rate and leading to $5 million in overpayments in individual health systems. This can lead to large amount of fines being placed on these health systems, as these fines can range from $100,000 to $50,000, with the maximum fine being $1.5 million. Not only does this hurt the revenue of these health systems, but it hurts the overall image.
And to safeguard these organizations from these hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in penalties, Horus Health uses AI to flag aberrant billing patterns, automate risk-based audits, and update analysts on ever-changing policies from millions of pages of PDFs from the government. And Horus delivers on this efficiency. In our initial user testing with Karen Smith, the VP and Billing Compliance Officer at Penn Medicine, tasks such as guideline searches that take an hour and a half are reduced to 3 seconds, showing the 1,000 times more efficient processes that we were able to do with our tools. And tasks on top of that, such as risk assessment, so stratifying risk of error occurrence within a specific hospital system, take days, weeks, and often even months. And with our tools, we're able to streamline that process and accelerate it to mere seconds and real time. And through our over 70 interviews, we've really tried to understand the software ecosystem. And we've learned from a lot of these departments that they're doing their audits by handwritten worksheets or Excel spreadsheets, and the most competitive offering, MD Audit, which is used by the top 100 health systems, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, they use this software. They resorted to doing their audits with handwritten worksheets instead. And so this shows the need for innovation within billing compliance itself. And the reason we're talking to these academic medical centers is we hope to use their name brand to build our case studies and also get access to a rich patient data set for which we can train our models to complete these audits. And then from there, we're targeting organizations that serve a large population of Medicare and Medicaid recipients, as well as, and then expanding from that, we will be targeting critical access hospitals, psychiatric hospitals, and safety net hospitals.
And for our development, we've completely built out our regulatory co-pilot, and we're currently utilizing this to conduct our 3 pilots at CareMax, Boston Medical Center, and Penn Medicine. And as we continue to build out our next offering, which is the risk assessment feature, we're seeking to convert our pilot with Penn Medicine into a paid pilot. And by 2025, we seek to build out the entirety of our product line, completing out the full auditing suite. As we go into our financials, in 2024, we seek to convert some of our initial pilots into paid pilots, garnering some type of revenue from that. And by 2025, as we continue to build out the rest of our products and expand to more health systems, we really seek to get revenue upwards of $3 million. And by 2026, we continue to expand our stuff into revenue cycle management alongside expanding into more customer bases such as health, law, and pharmaceuticals. And for our revenue model, this is split into 3 different offerings. First is our regulatory co-pilot, priced at $200 per user per month. And for our second offering, the risk assessment feature, which includes the pilot, this is at a flat price of $50,000 per health system. And for the entire auditing suite, this is price based per the provider in the health system with $1,000 per provider.
Our team has the experience in AI and SaaS platforms to make this possible, and our advisors are helping us navigate the complexities of healthcare and compliance through their experience. We have gotten help from our universities and collaborated with great institutions to make an impact in Bucks County. We are working with a pilot with Jefferson Health and with Doylesville Health's integration with Penn Medicine. We hope to strengthen the patient-provider relationship in healthcare within Bucks County. Thank you.
Thank you. As you develop this program, I take it we have no paying clients right now, correct?
Yes, so our pilots have been staged in a way that our first offering, the co-pilot, is offered for free. And then based off of those performance indicators that we have set out throughout the pilot, then we move on to the risk assessment, which is the paid pilot section.
What protection do you have for your system? In other words, patents, trade secrets, how are you stopping this from being knocked off?
Yes, that's a great question. We're currently working with Dwayne Morris through the VIPX program that we are doing through the University of Pennsylvania to develop our patent portfolio out. As you know, patenting software is quite a complex process, and trying to understand that and making sure that we're protected. In addition to those protections, we are also trying to, and one of the reasons why we are here and trying to get such money is so that we can secure our own software through getting HIPAA and SOC 2 compliant, which is really important so that we can work with these big health institutions such as Jefferson Health. Hello? Oh, okay. I think it went away. So it's really okay, we'll just work with this. That it's really important for us to be HIPAA and SOC 2 compliant so we can work with these institutions and they can trust us as we develop our patent portfolio as well.
Look, I give you guys credit for tackling maybe one of the most complex software problems that's out there today is how to integrate into all these systems. But you know, there's a lot of people throwing a lot of money today at trying to tackle similar types of things, maybe from different directions. But how do you think about sustainable differentiation into the future once you get beyond the first hospital or two?
Yeah, great question. And honestly, it boils down to 2 main things. It's our current traction that we have right now and the relationships we have. Over the last month and a half, our entire team has gone to Nashville, Philadelphia, and Boston and went to these healthcare compliance conferences. We're the only people maybe under 35 in the room, and we're approaching all sorts of chief compliance officers and people who would be interested in our products, and we've gotten so much interest, thus cultivating relationships with the VP of Billing Compliance at Penn Medicine, allowing us to have these pilots and allowing us to truly understand, okay, this is what's needed. And one of the things that we've understood is that though there are a lot of competitors, one thing that they've all not understood is this interoperability, working with other electronic health records. There's so many things going on. Things need to be integrated with software such as Epic and Cerner, and that's what we're trying to do. We're cultivating a relationship with Athena Health, one of the biggest electronic health records, and we aim to work with Epic very soon.
I got a question just around your again, go-to-market, but your sales strategy. How do you see yourself selling this product?
Yeah, so the main, as far as our go-to-market strategy goes, through these conferences, like Ishan had mentioned, we're able to meet a big section of the compliance space within a concentrated section. And so through then, with working with health systems, we also have to identify the different stakeholders to push that through. And so our main avenue for getting customers is mainly through conferences, through those, because healthcare is a very relationships-based industry. And so through those conferences, so for example, the HCCA, which is the Healthcare Compliance Association, or the HFMA, Hospital Financial Management Association. So it's through those that we have these avenues to sell through. And then from there, it's word of mouth, right? So already, Penn Medicine, who we've had the pilot, we have a great relationship with Karen Smith, who's our champion. And she's already been giving us warm intros to University of Florida Health. Even at the conference itself, she was introducing us to everyone. And so that's really how we see sales, word of mouth and testimonials, as well as going to those conferences.
Do you see yourself needing any partners in your journey?
So yes, like partners in the sense of?
From a development perspective, software, healthcare space?
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it's a very relationship space. So having partners in play to sort of help get the ball, get our foot in the door really also is a big thing. So making sure we have good relationships. And as far as development, I think Dat can speak more to that as he's the CTO. But making sure that we have a talented developer field and from all of our institutions, especially. But yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, to add on, one thing that Ishan mentioned earlier was interoperability with a ton of the electronic health records that exist in a ton of these health systems like Epic and Cerner. And we seek to partner with them to utilize their interjection with our software into their marketplace systems. And doing so, we can get our software into these medical systems in a way that's very secure and operable for all these health providers.
A question for you. How did you build what you're showing now as your resale or the cost or the price you're going to sell this for? And also, did you discuss the cost of this to the end user with Penn and other people in your pilot trials? And what kind of feedback do you get? Your prices seem low to me.
Yeah, that's a great question. As far as our pricing strategy, we've really spoken to and really tried to understand, what are the costs associated with compliance itself. And so a lot of that, we spoke to Penn Medicine, really tried to understand the range of contracts that are currently in place for compliance. And this sort of fits in that range, but also we figured out our pricing strategy based off of value. So our advisors from Wharton and Vandy and MIT, really, we sat down and really tried to figure out this pricing strategy. And so this is all done in the context of the value. So for example, the risk assessment feature, it's based off of the full-time FTEs or full-time equivalents of the software, essentially being more efficient to account for another person within the department itself. So really the pricing strategy has been based off of the value that the product can bring, and that's how we go about talking to health systems and doing that. So we'll essentially say, this is the cost if you were to go about this at the status quo. We want you guys to have a 3 times ROI. We'll price at this price point.
And what feedback do you get from the potential client?
We've heard feedback that not only is this software giving them more capabilities, but it also makes them 1,000 times more efficient.
I don't care. Are they going to buy it? That's the bottom line. Do they accept your pricing?
Yes, yeah. So they the pricing is standard with industry. In fact, it's slightly lower than what most competitive offerings offer, and because we've heard from a lot of these departments that the software is just way too expensive for them. For example, MD Audit, we also work closely with Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And so they're looking for their contracts about to expire, and they're looking for someone new. And so like when we've talked about these pricings with these different health systems, we were met with the same feedback that this is something that they can support, but also it makes them more efficient, so they can cut down costs.
Well, that's where my question on pricing, and actually two, I guess. One, you have a Jefferson Health, right? Who's $16 billion in revenue. Penn's $13 billion. Doylestown Health is $600 million. Grandview Health is $300 million. Mm-hmm. How are you pricing this product to those different revenue health organizations?
Sean, jump in if you'd like. But I think another thing to keep in mind is that a lot of these academic medical centers also have slightly lower operating margins, and then within that, each department has their own budgets to submit. And so, based off of that, that's kind of how we've figured out the pricing structure based off of the budgets relative to compliance within the health system itself. And Sean, if you wanted to say something.
Yeah, and I think a big part of our pricing system is our performance within these pilots, right? If we're able to hit certain KPIs, if we're able to surpass the things and meet and go beyond the expectations of what we've outlined within these pilot studies, we'll continue to grow. And part of our growth strategy, which is adjacent to our pricing strategy, is we eventually want to be able to go from compliance to revenue cycle management, which work very close together. We kind of see that as a great way for us to grow and for us to grow with the relationships we have and the relationships we will continue to build.
Yeah, health system's complex, right? And very regulated. And I guess I still sort of struggle a little bit to understand how you're separating yourselves from the really big health systems to the smaller ones.
In terms of, so we're working with these big health systems such as Penn Medicine, Jefferson, to, one, give us that name value, two, they have such a wide patient base from the Medicare and Medicaid patients that they have. We're able to learn a ton. Get those white papers, get all of that information.
Thank you. Time's up.
Thank you.
That's how it works. Thank you very much.
Make sure you got the one that works.
Thank you, Akil, Ishan, and Dat. I now want to introduce Helen Lawrence, President and CEO of Level Up Logistics.
Good evening. My name is Helen Lawrence, and I am the proud owner of Level Up Logistics, a transportation company. I want to thank you in advance for giving me the opportunity to not only pitch tonight, but to present my expansion of adding CDL, a commercial driver's license school, to our current offerings. So I just wanted to see, how did we get here that I wanted to do a CDL school? Currently, by the FMCSA, the Federal Motor Commercial and Safety Administration, as well as the U.S. Department of Transportation, has indicated by the year 2030, there'll be a need to add 1.1 million more CDL drivers by the year 2030 just to keep up with the current demand. So with that, we said, let's take an opportunity of looking at adding a CDL school. Why is a CDL school so important? There's CDL A and there's CDL B. CDL A is anything that's a combination, so your tractor and your trailer. However, CDL B is anything from box trucks to garbage trucks to dump trucks and your buses. Our school will be able to have a comprehensive program that will be able to train you in both areas. Now, the pricing of that will vary. For the CDL A, which is more comprehensive, it'll cost about $7,500. That's what the average cost is right now in the state of Pennsylvania. For the CDL B, it'll be about $5,000. What will make us different, a differentiator, is we'll not only offer classes Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, which is your traditional, but we'll also offer classes on the weekend. On the weekend, we'll be fine. We'll offer classes on the weekend as well for individuals who may not be able to walk away from their jobs right now, but they still want an opportunity to obtain a CDL. So what's the biggest expense that I'll have? As you can see, 70% of that is going to be between staffing as well as equipment. Now, equipment gets pretty expensive, so opposed to buying the equipment in the beginning, we're going to lease. Why lease? Leasing the equipment, obviously, one, is going to be a lot cheaper. Two, They'll handle my PMs, my preventative maintenance. So all my oil changes, capping off my fuel, as well as my tires. So in the first 1 to 3 years, we'll lease, allowing us to save additional money. Staffing, that's also a large amount. The average CDL trainer right now gets paid about $55,000 to $65,000 a year. In order to be successful in our first year, because we do want to train 100 students, we'll need to have 2 instructors. The state requires a 5-to-1 ratio when doing training. So if we would do 10 students at 4 to 5 weeks apiece at the $5,000 to $7,000. We were looking at also the $120,000 that you see for the equipment. That includes us leasing it, but we also have to carry $1 million of liability insurance. Currently, insurance is about $20,000 per year per tractor trailer. You also have to take in consideration we'll need to have workers' comp, health insurance, as well as liability for myself. When we look at the facility size, an acre of land is going to cost about $5,000 to rent. We'll rent initially for our property. We're also going to have to look into licensing and insurance that'll be on a continual basis. Lastly, I know it sounds a little ambitious, but I'd personally like for us to have 15% of our revenue used to do scholarships for those of low income individuals who would submit an essay and say why they want to become a CDL driver, etc. We also are going to look at those who are formerly incarcerated. Why? Because the government has federal contracts right now that pay for the owners to go train individuals transitioning back into the workspace. So we talked about the 100 students a year. We talked about expanding. By the year 2 and 3, we'd like to have 200 students a year trained. We're also looking at by the year 4, we'll have a second, if not third, location due to the growth. And then year 5, I believe in giving back. I want to be able to take previous students who have finished our program and show them how to become entrepreneurs. So instead of driving for Warner or Amazon, they can now drive and have them be owner-operators. And again, by year 5, $250,000 going toward scholarships by philanthropic efforts, as well as individuals who want to submit. Thank you. I want to thank my team that's hanging out in the back for helping me with this right today. Any questions?
How are you going to get the students? What's your sales program?
Absolutely. So currently I am linked up with CareerLink. CareerLink does pay $5,000 per student. They pay that directly to the facility. I am also a delivery service partner with Amazon, and so I'm in network with 2,000 different Amazon drivers and owners. I can also use the direction of Department of Correction, because I'm going to look at those who are formerly incarcerated, as well as job fairs, PICO, and SEPTA.
What's the competitive environment like in training?
In this area, there's only about 3 major schools. So this would be, I personally have my CDL. I applied at a school in Norristown. They told me I had to wait 4 months to get in. I ended up having to go to Philadelphia. So it's not that you won't be able to get the students and get people in. It's more of there's just not enough schools to be able to meet this demand of 1.1 million drivers by 2030.
So is your view more you're bridging that capacity gap, so to speak?
Yes, sir.
So how I'm trying to understand how you really differentiate to those peers you just mentioned locally.
So one of the things I mentioned earlier is there's not a lot of people who are doing the formerly incarcerated, getting them to transition back into the work area. I don't know of anybody that is doing that. So that's one area. And then with me already having drivers for my delivery service partnership with Amazon, they also can apply for DOTs and get their CDLs. So I will be able to, kind of funnel those individuals into my school.
Yeah, what's the staffing needs for this project?
So the first year, I'm going to need at least 2 trainers. The state requires that they have had at least 5 years of driving a CDL. So that'll be 2 trainers for that, and then I would have an administrative person. In the beginning, honestly, it's going to be me doing the administrative work. But I too have my CDL, so if I, have a, instructor that can't make it, I'm able to get behind that 18-wheeler and drive it too.
How many days are you instructing people?
7 days a week. We're going to offer Monday through Friday, which is, your Monday through Friday courses, 8 to 4, which you can be done in 4 weeks. And then we'll offer the 3-month one that is every Saturday and Sunday, sorry. So that'll be for individuals maybe that are working and they can't quite quit their job yet because they got financial responsibilities, but they want to get their CDL.
So
Takes a little bit longer.
How many students do you need to break even?
To break even in the first year, we did our little financial analysis. We would need about 100 students. It'll take us about 8 to 13 months to break even. By year 2, we should be already in the black.
Is that 100 students for the whole year, or 100 at a time, or?
100 a year, because we're talking $5,000 to $7,000 per student, and I'm only allowed by the state to have 5 to 6 students per one instructor.
Okay.
So by year 2 and 3, our plan is to expand and have 3 instructors, and I'm always 3.5, right?
It seems to me you have a rather large capital investment to get started.
Yes.
Where's that coming from?
It will, I've done a couple of pitches. I'm also looking at my own financial, and then looking at opportunities like this as well. So loans, my own capital, my own money, as well as I can look at some philanthropic and some donations from individuals to get started. I think the biggest part is the trucks. That's the hardest thing that I was looking at, and that's when we decided as a team, it doesn't make sense to buy the vehicles initially. It's going to make sense to lease them. You agree with me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, what was that initial capital investment?
$450,000.
$450,000.
Do you have visions of scaling this beyond?
Absolutely. I want to scale it to the point that we have multiple locations. There is a school in New Jersey that has 3 locations right now, but no one in the immediate area has more than 1 school.
What makes you unique over your competitors?
I'm a woman in the trucking industry. Where are my ladies at? No, but
I agree. Okay.
Yes. No, but seriously, what'll make us unique is I already have a background in trucking and in industry. So I do DOT vehicles right now. I have 62 employees that drive Amazon Prime vans right now.
But what is different about your school than anybody else's?
I think what'll be different about my school, other than the formerly incarcerated and looking at lower income, is that when they come to our school, and we had talked about this as a team, we want to have a guarantee when they pay that tuition. And the guarantee will be, even if you don't pass, because after they finish our course, they still have to go before the state of Pennsylvania and the DMV to actually drive and pass on the road. If you don't pass, we're going to allow you to come back, and you'll continue to be in class, and we'll help you until you pass. Everyone doesn't do that. You're done, and you got to pay the $5,000 all over again.
I know this is probably a little bit down the road, but when I think about a threat to a business, in this business, I think about automation, right? At some point, I think there's a high probability there's a lot of automation in that space.
Yes.
That's not next year, though, but that's probably coming in the next 5 to 10.
Yes.
How do you see that as a threat, and how do you adjust?
I don't see it as a threat for 2 reasons. One, during the pandemic, we all know that trucking and logistics was we were essential workers. So the wheels continue to roll. Everything still has to get from point A to point B. And even if, I'll use my Amazon experience because that's what I know. We're looking at automation now in the building, but we still have drivers. They have not been able to master yet the human versus the computer on the road. And I don't think I'm ready to have a computer driving an 18-wheeler. Not yet. Yeah.
Do you have a location picked for this?
Yes, so we looked at some areas over here. We also have some contracts that we are reviewing, not only in Bucks County, but we also have another location that we looked at in Montgomery County. They're just not being as responsive as I need them to be. And then I was told that the Montgomery Mall might be closing, so that'll be a big old lot over there too.
Could be. So I'll come back to the money side of it
Yes.
again. 450 is what your capital need is, right?
Yes.
How close are you to that right now?
About 2, halfway there. That's using my own funds, and then I would, I'd either get a loan and or pull in some other investors.
Yep. If you're going to be trying to work with folks who are incarcerated right now, right? Yeah, we tried this with my company a number of years ago, and it can work. Is there not some funding that can come out of programs that they have?
Absolutely. There's a few grants out there now on federal grants on sam.gov that they will fully fund you coming in. So not only are they going to have you train them when they come to your lot, I could actually go in and do CDL prep for their permit while they're still incarcerated. But these are individuals that are transitioning and they're on their way out, and that's fully funded.
What happens, you said if they fail the state test and all,
Yes.
and then you're going to keep training them, are there not going to be some that just aren't going to make it?
Yeah, there's individuals that don't make it. I think that the ratio right now is 85% of people do pass their first time. I was one of them. And then there's 15% that doesn't. We did look at that as, okay, if you're going to continue to let a person come back, they may come back 5 times. You're losing that seat to another potential person that could be coming in. I'm sure we'll probably have to scale and look at that maybe we need to have a cutoff, that maybe after the second time, then you would have to pay again. We'll let you come back 1 time, maybe twice, but that third time would have to be the time that we'd have to charge you again, the $7,500.
And finally, hogging the questions here. Friends of mine, and I see, are looking for CDL drivers all the time.
All the time.
Could not companies fund an employee to go through your program?
Absolutely.
Have you looked at that?
You can work with companies right now. I mentioned on my slide presentation, Pico, Amazon. Amazon actually pays for us to send our drivers to CDL school.
Thank you.
How quickly can you be up? I mean, if you had the cash tomorrow, how quickly is this operation?
So the problem is the state of Pennsylvania, not the problem. I shouldn't say the problem, sorry. In the state of Pennsylvania, they only allow you to open your facility 4 times, to stand before the board 4 times. The one that's next week is the 28th. That means I would stand for the February 28th one, February 27th, and then from there, if they come in and they approve me at the board, I can start the school the next day, because they do a walkthrough prior to, from your location. So I could be up and running early spring.
Others? Well, it looks like maybe you got left with a couple of seconds left, but we thank you very much. And good luck.
Thank you, Helen. Next up is Nick Lamp, founder of Vivaldi.
Good evening. Thanks for having me here. My name is Doug Johnson. I am here representing Survivors Alliance for Growth and Employment, which is a workplace for survivors of human trafficking. A few years ago, I took a contract to manufacture, as sort of a side hustle, MIDI keyboards in my home. And we got started, went through the development, we got the pieces in, and we found out that somebody close to us had had a suicide attempt, someone we loved. So we invited them to come and to work with us so they could feel safe. And we also needed the help. So my wife, Mimi Johnson, was a therapist at the time with Worthwhile Wear, treating survivors of human trafficking. And she was working with this young lady and noticed immediately that interventions kind of in the moment really helped. So they seemed more relevant. And we noticed that this person actually seemed to be improving relatively quickly. So she went on, she actually went on to be a nurse, and Mimi went on to start Survivors Alliance for Growth and Employment. So these are a couple of our founders. What we do at Survivors Alliance now, we remanufacture or refurbish laptops that are donated. We do piecework to the tune of about 130,000 units a year, and we do these crafts, which you saw out in the foyer. Some of which we sell to Operation Underground Railroad and some other well-known organizations. In terms of competition, referrals, We have really good relationships with a lot of human services organizations in the area. In terms of sales, it's pretty bland. We sell on eBay. The tough part for us is getting donations. So when we ask for IT equipment, there's a certain amount of trust. So this is required for somebody to turn over their intellectual property for you and just to trust that you're going to do the right thing with it. We have a great process. This is one of our competitors that actually charges to do the thing that we do for free. And so why is that? Why are other people going to this guy, but we have to like build this relationship? I think the answer is we're free, right? That comes with risk. You always, a free sandwich is great, but a free, like, we're gonna take care of your intellectual property, it's a different story. So what we're suggesting is that we upgrade and change the image of Survivors Alliance in this area from well-meaning volunteers to industry professionals. The steps for this, this is sort of high level, but revamping our website. We have a website just for our IT donations. Hiring IT staff and sales staff. We're going to improve our presentation, like sort of as we show up. Uniforms, and then also getting a truck. We do have competition. PCs for People is probably our closest competitor in this area. They're actually out of Colorado, and their presence is fairly weak in Philadelphia. They have one location, and they're not super well known. We've run into them a couple times. Iron Mountain is where we'd love to be. This is kind of a joke putting them up there because they're enormous. This is our 5-year plan. Most important part about this is that we hope to employ and provide services for 87 women in the next 5 years. And also provide an estimated $320,000 in tax liability relief. This is a testimonial of one of the ladies, one of our first women that we had at Sage. I'm going to read it, so I'm just going to have to turn around, sorry. Sage gave me a safe place to relax, grow, and prepare for my future. When I first came to Sage, I was pretty hopeless about my life and the direction I could take. Sage provided me with the information, resources, and support I needed to learn about myself, my trauma responses, and how I can cope and heal. So she did her part. I've done my part. I'm hoping you guys can do your part. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you give me the basic revenue picture? What do you have come in, costs, and what's left at the end of the day now, right, as of now?
Yeah, so gross revenue, I think on our last 990 was something like, it was like the maybe $120,000. That doesn't include assets that were donated. So that's also, I think, was in the $50,000 range. In terms of, I think we spent close to that. I think we spent 110 maybe. And most of that is payroll, right? For these ladies, when they work for us, they're paid by the hour. It's a living wage.
So what is the cost against the 120?
You mean our liability?
No, cost. You're paying people, you have costs, right?
Oh yeah, so specifically for payroll, I think it was in the order of about 80 grand.
And you obviously have other costs too, right?
Yeah, actually, let's see.
I didn't see, we didn't, yeah.
So this is the year one of our projected. So that it's.
That's your projection, but not what you've done to date.
No, that's not currently where we are.
Yeah.
So other costs right now, if you want me to just go through it, payroll is a huge deal for us. Insurance is very expensive. Other than that, we spend about 13 grand in for our current lease. And then we get down to the minutia.
Okay.
So you've been in existence for 3 years, right? Is that what I hear?
That's right.
And how many employees do you have now?
We have 10 employees, 6 of whom are survivors.
So in that year one pro forma there, how many employees do you have?
Let's see, so year one, I think we're only adding two survivors in the first year.
So are you a nonprofit right now or not? You are?
Yep.
Yeah, and you have the proper certifications for, you commented that, some of your competition is charges and therefore people feel more comfortable, I guess?
Sure. Yeah.
Giving them their,
More
their
trust.
property, right?
Yep.
So is your plan to stay nonprofit,
Of course.
right?
Yep.
And you said you need some certifications to get people more comfortable with you, is that what I understood?
Yeah, I think that the certification is sort of the last stage. So the NAID certification is relatively intense to get. And that's actually part of our growth strategy here is to get another facility because you actually need it's got to be a facility you can drive a truck into, so as you unload the truck that everything's secure, cameras, the whole thing. So, that's part of our growth strategy, but definitely at the end.
So just so I understand it, so the model is to approach businesses, universities, organizations, ask them to donate essentially their used IT equipment,
Yeah.
whether it's computers, TVs, what have you, right? And then you are rehabbing that.
Yeah, that's what we're currently doing.
So how challenging is it, or what's your strategy? I understand your targeted workforce, but I presume there's quite a bit of expertise that's needed to rehab a computer. I'm not a computer guy.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand how you plan to scale that with all the different expertises that might be needed.
So there's the donations that really pay are corporate donations. Yeah. So if we get 5 or 6 laptops at a time, we'll do it, but it's tough. Usually if we are going to a corporation or a university, we're getting 30, 40 of the exact same laptop. Yeah. Training's pretty straightforward. Gotcha. Right? So we'll do the first 3 or 4, I'll do them myself, I turn it over to the ladies, give them the training that they need, and they'll burn through the rest. Gotcha. And I mean, in terms of job security, leaving Sage and having that on your resume compared to another human services organization is a huge step up for them.
So when do you not need incremental capital to keep the business going? I mean, if you want to scale it, you need some more money into it to scale it, or can you self-scale it?
Yeah, so the way that we run into a problem when we start to add more non-behavioral health or survivor staff.
Yep.
That's payroll will always be our biggest bill. So that's what we're planning on doing is using this money up front to increase our donations enough that we can afford those additional staff. I think that it's in our 3rd year that we're doing that.
And how big do you see this becoming 5 years from now? I mean, how much staff, how many survivors into it do you think about?
The last year there were 55 women served just in that year. And that's across 2 facilities. And this growth plan assumes that donations and everything else is completely static. So none of that is growing. And what we try to do more and more is to include survivors in the administration of what we're doing. So I think towards the end, survivors won't just be doing this type of work. They'll also be doing more administrative stuff, and not everybody's suited to resurfacing IT equipment. So I think that that's probably a good thing.
What happens to the IT equipment, again, maybe you said this, after you've serviced it?
We sell it on eBay.
Okay, just on eBay, that's the only
Yeah.
place you're selling it?
And part of our growth strategy is to move from being a regular eBay seller to eBay refurbished seller, which gives us some advantage in terms of marketing. But it should be pretty straightforward. I'm not super worried about that.
So if I look at your, where's the revenue show up here?
Service
Retail sales?
Yeah, so sale of donated items is the line you're probably looking for. This is from our current GL code. So we start off at 110, and then we end up at about 782.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess you might have said this, I apologize. Help me understand how people know about you. So
How they
if I have a computer that I want to take somewhere, and how do I know about you to do that?
So currently it's networking, because I need to build trust with other corporations. So we have 4 major corporations that, you know, like $2 billion plus corporations that donate their IT equipment to us. These are people I know. And what I'm trying to do is move beyond friends and family into this commercial space.
Well, that's where when I looked at your pro forma, your sales increased significantly over the 5 years, right? So your plan to do that is through IT networks? As well as, how else? Salespeople, do you have salespeople?
Yeah, so salespeople is in year 3. In terms of we have a CRM right now. We use Monday.com. We collect, so I'm starting to do this already where I'm calling people up. We have one organization that actually came about where I'm just like cold call, like, hey guys, you want, like, and they were like, human trafficking. I think like they'd heard about it at church or something like that. Why don't you come in and talk to us? So that's there, but it's just so slow because as a nonprofit, they see it as goodwill, right? Like and we have procedures to keep everybody's information safe. They just don't know that when I'm calling them on the phone.
So when you think about the number of major partners that you need to hit some of those projections, 5 years out, how many major partners do you think you need? I would imagine quite a bit to keep that funnel going.
Yeah, I don't know what the other end looks like. Like all of the partners we've had have stayed with us. But yeah, so the other end of this, I think my projection was like 12. But it's relatively protracted. I have email chains going on for 18 months, of like, hey guys, like, how's it going? You guys ready? And then when it finally happens, it's great, it happens, but it takes a while to build up.
Do people donating and giving you these computers or laptops, do they ask for a certificate or insurance? So, because my concern would be, again, liability and information being released.
It depends on the organization. We haven't been asked for that yet. I think that the NAID AAA certification that I mentioned, that's usually what people are asking for. They want an outside party to look at how we do things and say, yeah, there's things.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Doug. So our last Spark Bowl contestant is Nick Lamp, founder of Vivaldi.
Well, Good evening. My name is Nick, and I'm here to present Vivaldi, an automation engine for building permit reviews. Everything built or renovated requires a permit. At a high level, this is an easy process. An architect designs a plan, submits it for review, receives comment, and the design is approved. But in reality, there are a lot of challenges, most of which center on the complexity of the building code. Building codes are thousands of pages long and come with significant learning curves for both designers and reviewers. Applying the building code is incredibly labor-intensive.
Can we stop the clock, please?
Man, I apologize.
Is it possible to restart the clock? Because, yeah, that'd be better. If you don't mind, start at the beginning.
Absolutely, I apologize. It helps me with the positioning anyways. Good evening. My name is Nick, and I'm here to present Vivaldi, an automation engine for building permit reviews.
Hi, Nick.
Everything built or renovated requires a permit. At a high level, this is an easy process. An architect designs a building, submits it for review, the authority provides comment, and the design is approved. But in reality, there are a lot of challenges, most of which center on the complexity of the building codes. Building codes are thousands of pages long and come with significant learning curves for both designers and reviewers. Applying the code is incredibly labor-intensive and open to human error. The complexity of the review process leads to delays in the permit review process, which causes delays for project completion. For example, at AstraZeneca, the entire commercial season at a vaccine manufacturing plant was put at risk due to delays obtaining permit in Bensalem. At Amazon, shipping schedules were significantly disrupted due to delays obtaining permits in Baltimore. The only recourse businesses have in these situations is to spend more money downstream, either on overtime to speed up the process of construction, or absorbing the loss to production, selling less, or in the worst case, opening their business late. To take a deeper look, I'd like you to consider occupancy. This is a single section of building code where occupant limits are established per room. You might have seen the signs at the entrance to this auditorium, a little plaque saying, I think it was 318. Those numbers right now are manually calculated by a reviewer who physically puts ruler to paper to calculate the size of a room, then compares it against dozens of different sections of code across multiple industry publications to come up with a final number. This process can take hours. Vivaldi does it instantly. I led both of those projects mentioned earlier and have experienced firsthand the impact a permitting delay can have on a business. I grew up in a construction family with my architect mother and engineer father, and have developed a unique set of experiences and perspective required to shake up this industry, leading the impacted projects, dealing with the fallout, understanding the pain, while working with the AI and ML models to understand how they can be applied to solve different problems. Vivaldi automates the permit review process. Designs are uploaded, proprietary AI and machine learning models extract information, the building code is applied automatically, and results are returned in seconds. This solves many of the problems on both sides of the permit review process and saves businesses upwards of millions in lost time and cost overruns. Bucks County has a long planning history. Vivaldi not only adds another first to the list of the county's planning accolades, but also solves many of the pains of the permit review process, the same pains called out in the Bucks 2040 survey as barriers to doing business locally, particularly for the more than 50% of businesses looking to expand or relocate in the near future and looking at another visit to their local permitting office. These pains are easily mapped out across the 54 different authorities in Bucks County alone that must be navigated by local architects, builders, and businesses. A few of those pains are listed out here. The last is actually what caught my team out at AstraZeneca, particularly the hidden backlog. Vivaldi addresses each of these and unifies permitting across the county. We serve two markets. The public sector, the permitting offices, is our primary target in order to drive efficiency in the process. But the private sector is actually larger in terms of potential revenue, selling to architects and engineers to effectively code check their designs before they ever submit for review. We operate on a software as a service model with a base per user fee, then charge per square foot evaluated. At pennies per square foot, our costs are nothing compared to the total cost of construction. Now, it's important to note, our goal on the public side is not to downsize any departments, but to drive a more effective and efficient review process. While on the private side, we look to mitigate outright the serious financial burden that can be imposed should a project experience a permitting delay. Our 5-year timeline is focused heavily on building out the AI and machine learning models to support code evaluation, but with planned component releases to start generating revenue, like the occupancy example I provided earlier. This involves some significant early outlays. But with the per square foot charge, we'll see healthy revenue growth at even small market penetration. The number in year 5 here actually equates to only 3% market penetration. In the short term, our focus is on building our minimum product, soliciting feedback, and building what I call our 3-day solution, a solution that shaves 3 days off the permit review timeline. This is the solution we'll present at 3 conferences next year, the American Institute of Architects, the International Code Council, and locally at the PA Builders Conference. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your time, and thank you for this opportunity. We look forward to launching Vivaldi in Bucks County next year and setting new standards for the permit review process nationwide.
Thank you. I trust you've talked to licensing and permitting people in the municipalities. And so much of it seems, at least from my experience, to be interpretation and arbitrary. How does that all fit into what you're doing?
There's actually 3 responses that we provide as part of our code checking. There are the black and white sections of code, and there are those that are very much up for interpretation. Those, our current solution is to flag. but with built-in options, checkboxes throughout the application, where the local jurisdictions can decide how much or how many sections, which sections, they want to be left up to interpretation and have the final say, or which they want to have automatically go through.
And have you tested this at all for accuracy at this point?
Yes, so we're very much in the building phases. So we're still building out. We're on our 5th AI model now because the complexities require a whole lot of different machine learning. But our accuracy is actually very, very high. We're over 95% accurate for identifying things like walls, rooms, and basic objects, doors, outlets, lighting fixtures, those kinds of things.
So how do you think about pricing this into the market?
So for pricing, it's built right now at a 6% margin. Let's see if I can go into some significant details if you like, but I'm basically aiming to cover the cost of the model. We are cash negative for the first 3 years until we can get enough of a market built up behind us. The per square foot charge is designed to eliminate any potential competitors as the AI space builds up, but also to just make sure that we're covering our costs. I've analyzed and assessed the current run rates of our models and how much computing time that takes on. We run on both Google and Amazon right now. The 1 cent you saw and 2 cent you saw actually covers all of our costs. We're not looking to be billionaires right out of the gate. We're looking to grow first.
So price it low to get penetration and then scale from there.
Correct. Okay. And then just if I could add on to that real quick, this market is sticky. I mentioned it in one of the slides earlier. As soon as somebody purchases this, if a jurisdiction subscribes and starts providing instant permit review approvals, backing out of that is almost not an option. You can't go from a 5-minute review process back to a 6-week, maybe we'll get back to you, or New York City, 3 to 6 months, depending on what you're building there. You'd have the whole industry up in flames.
Yeah, how many employees do you have right now?
0, but I'm currently, yeah, it's me, but I've got 3 different contractors working for me, 2 in India, they're each a team of 6, and I got a Ukrainian team coming on within the next month, that's another team of 4. The biggest emphasis right now, or the most labor-intensive piece, is tagging all of these images. So we have several thousand different architectural drawings that need to be tagged in order to drive the efficiency that was being mentioned earlier. So it's building that foundational code base. But that's also what gives us our competitive advantage. We are a first mover in this space, and as we build up the database, it'll be hard for anybody to catch up rapidly, mostly because none of this information is open source. The AI models you might have heard about online, OpenAI, Llama Index, those are trolling the internet and just scraping everything. These building plans that we're building on are proprietary. They're owned by the architecture firms. You have to get their approval to even start looking at them. And so unless you start having those contacts and pulling that information in, building this from the ground up is not something that you can just start Googling right away.
Did I understand you correctly that you're looking to sell to the, if you will, the contractor as well as the municipality?
Correct.
So what's the strategy with municipalities that sometimes have long processes for certain purposes?
Honestly, to hire somebody that specializes in that. So in this timeline here, I don't want to walk you, there's sales at the bottom there. Hiring a sales team happens late next year, and I want to focus on somebody that specializes in selling to government agencies, because those are a barrier. They are the keyhole that could make us rapidly successful, or they're the piece that could hold us back from growing as fast as we would like. But as soon as a jurisdiction applies, any architect or engineering firm that works in that jurisdiction will want to work on the same software that's reviewing them down the line. So it instantly becomes this network effect that becomes very powerful, and we hope spreads to other jurisdictions. I like to use the example, I live in Yardley. If Yardley buys into this, Newtown's gonna want it right away, because otherwise the Yardley folks can be like, haha, we're better than you, and it just sort of works its way to other jurisdictions and improves regionally, then nationally, and so on.
I suppose the technology here that you have is something that can be scaled into, say, different regions, Europe, Asia. As someone that deals with a lot of permits in Europe and Asia, the clarity would be appreciated. So you see opportunity, I would suppose, to scale internationally?
Yes,
Same
absolutely.
model works, I suppose.
Absolutely. Starting locally, but we're actually building everything off of the international building codes, which are, they're publicly available codes because they're legally required to be, but they're used internationally, except in places like Japan where they have to worry about things like earthquakes, and then you get into some really fun technicalities. But Europe is absolutely an option. South America and Mexico in particular we've been looking at because there's easier ways to get into the jurisdictions there. Bribery, but you can easily sort of start penetrating. That was a joke. Yeah.
You listed, or you answered one of the questions with, you see your client or customer as the contractor in a municipality. As you probably know, when you go in to get a permit and do this, they normally farm it out, this review, to independent engineers or architects or whatever. And so if they can do it faster and quicker, they would need your program, of course, and that would cut into their revenue streams. So it seems that they would not be real happy about your program coming in.
Potentially. Of Bucks County's 54 municipalities, only 5 actually subcontract out. There's 2 different firms. One firm has captured 3 jurisdictions, another has captured 2. Not really worried about them. But from the public offices, again, what I mentioned earlier is the goal is not to downsize any permitting departments within the public office. The goal is actually to relocate labor. Right now we have a lot of permit reviewers that are sitting behind desks and looking at drawings, but there's a real burden to actually going out and physically inspecting. Building codes exist for building safety. Buildings don't collapse because you didn't look at the design the right way. They collapse because you didn't go out and inspect and make sure that it was built the way that you said you were going to build it on the drawing. There's actually an unfortunate situation right now in Florida where hurricanes just went through, wiped out entire communities. Mom and pops can't rebuild their homes, their businesses, their lives because they're waiting on the permit department to approve their permits to rebuild. It's devastating to these local communities that literally can't rebuild. They've got wood sitting at their site. They've got the nails ready, but they're waiting on the permitting office to actually go out and make sure that this is up to code so that they can rebuild their lives.
Do you need permission of municipalities to get access to their requirements, or is all that online these days?
It's all online. So they're legally required to have it online. They can't hide it behind any paywalls. That was I don't think it went to the actually it might have gone to the Supreme Court in the 70s.
So you can basically build your, call it a small language model, from just scraping the web and inputting it into your...
The building code actually isn't based on a model. That one we have to program manually. That one, the AI is not there yet to understand. I have copies of the code if you want to read it. It's incredibly dense, legalese almost writing that the AI can't quite interpret enough, or not enough that I would trust it. Not enough that I'd be willing to sell it to a municipality. I'm already putting my faith in extracting the objects with AI. I want them to know that I've read the code, understand the code, am certified to read the code, and have vouched for this.
So how much capital do you need to get over the finish line?
Our goal is to start turning cash positive by year 3. The significant outlays in year 1 here, I've got just under 200,000 pegged. Over half of that will probably come from personal money, unless I can convince my wife for more, which we'll see. But there is some fundraising involved in this, but it also depends on market penetration. Again, those per square foot charges start to add up really, really quickly. In solving something like just the occupancy problem, which does take hours to review in an individual plan, the benefit that you can sell off of that for somebody for, again, a penny per square foot is enough to start generating sales, we believe.
You may have mentioned this, but when do you launch? When is first commercial?
We're looking to launch, so our app is currently in development, looking to launch the first version in March of next year, hopefully earlier, but I don't like to overpromise, underdeliver. But that's when we'll be able to definitely have the occupancy example online, as well as things like building interiors and hopefully lighting as well.
For all the municipalities? Then you got...
For the international code standards.
Okay.
So it'll comply with the ICC 2018, which is what the PA UCC, because Pennsylvania likes to make their own code, which is almost copy-paste from the ICC, basically the same thing it's founded on.
Do you see opportunity in the environmental permitting space? You know, when a manufacturing company is putting in equipment, they need clear air permits and all these types of things. Do you see any opportunity in that type of space?
Honestly, haven't looked at it yet. I could see this expanding pretty easily into other regulations potentially, but our models are very much focused on the architectural drawings themselves and the blueprints. There's one in the background here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all of our contestants for their fantastic pitches. This concludes the competitive presentations. The judges will now leave to deliberate, and I imagine these decisions are going to be difficult. While the judges are tallying up their results, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank a number of people here at Del Val, a number of people working behind the scenes to make this event happen. We've got a great team. I love working with everybody. I'm grateful to the faculty of our Business and Information Department who have volunteered their time and worked with our student teams, especially Jeff Waring, Stephen Byland, and Christine Seal. I also want to thank the business advisors who have worked with the contestants and our students. I additionally want to thank everyone in marketing and communications, development, IT support, and events who helped put the show on. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank Laura Rambo, who's been behind the scenes and who's responsible for really getting everything going. Thank you to our partners, Teresa Farah and the Central Bucks Chamber of Commerce, Det Anzen and Startup Bucks, and our media sponsor, the Bucks County Herald. Finally, I want to thank all of our sponsors whose generous support made this event possible. And a special shout out goes to our Ignite sponsor, Parkhurst, for their lead contribution to the Spark Bowl and for catering the networking reception. We now have a brief video from last year's Spark Bowl winner, Samantha Myers, who founded Bye Bye Cry and who's here tonight. And I know we have the winner from the year before is also here in our audience from Liquid Limbs. So it's nice to see people come back. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Samantha Myers, CEO and founder of Bye Bye Cry, the first portable sound machine that uses unconventional sounds engineered to soothe colicky and fussy babies. I had 2 daughters who were born with colic and they cried incessantly. There was virtually nothing out there to help me, so I decided to experiment, and I uncovered unconventional sounds as crazy as a chainsaw, a jackhammer, a lawnmower, a vacuum, and a hairdryer that would instantly work to calm them down. And when I discovered this, I had to share the solution with other parents, and that's how Bye Bye Cry was born. We used the money that we won through Spark Bowl to expand our marketing efforts and get the word out to families struggling. Now, we've been able to spend money on Google Ads, Meta Ads, as well as more money on PPC through Amazon, and had we not won the Spark Bowl, we would not have had the funds to do so. Winning the Spark Bowl money has been a complete game changer, but one of our favorite things is the relationship that we've formed with our advisor. He's been an invaluable asset to our company and completely changed the trajectory of our company. We oftentimes consult with him on a weekly basis and will be forever grateful for the counsel and advice that he's provided us with. So much has happened since we won the Spark Bowl last year. We've expanded our Amazon business into Canada, and we're also available on the TikTok shop. We've launched our subscription-based app, so now families around the world have access to our engineered sounds right at their fingertips. We are so excited to expand into other markets and eventually be available in other countries as well. We had the greatest student support team. Honestly, they were awesome to work with. If I had any advice, it would be start to communicate with your companies early on in the process. Our students reach out to us immediately, and within 24 to 48 hours, we already had our first in-person meeting up at the university, just getting excited about the competition and spitballing and just forming a bond early on in the process. Not only that, we met every single week. There wasn't a week that passed that we did not have a meeting, and we also had communication through email and text message in between meetings. So communication is huge. I would also say, do not hold back from voicing your opinions. These companies, they want to know what you have to say, and they really value any insight that you have to offer when it comes to the competition. I would like to wish each and every one of you so much luck tonight. This is such an exciting part of your company's journey. And I just want to let you know, no matter what happens up there tonight, you are all winners in my book, because it takes an incredible amount of courage to stand up there and share something that you are so passionate about. I cannot wait to see your presentations. Good luck.
We'll wait for the judges. Guys, got about 10, 15 minutes.
talk, so.
mean, I might not roll in right away, like I'm not in the office at 7, but I'm doing stuff at home. That's my brain was right. Well, midnight, 1 in the morning. I was like a night owl. Oh, yeah.
Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm sorry? Yeah, she's here. Yes, she's right. So you're gonna come up and... Tanya, do you want me to tell you who it is?
Are they ready? You ready with the checks and stuff?
Yes, and then we'll make sure to call up the student, we have to make sure to call up the students as
Okay, so we'll start with,
Do you want me to help you with the checks?
Well, the check's pretty big.
Okay, I'll do the chart. Okay, I'll do
So
the
do you
check.
want me to do the monthly check? Or
Okay.
you want me to just hand this?
How about you hand this? I'll just do the check.
okay, we have, just so you know,
Who's first, and then we'll call Samantha.
will do. Okay, shall I go ahead?
Yes. Hold on, no. Before he does that, you're presenting it together, right? Team and team, student? Yes. Okay, all right, so the checks, let me just put the checks.
And you want them to come up for each one?
Yes, we want the contestant and then the student.
No.
Team.
All together. Okay, shall we do this? Okay. Everybody waiting? Yeah. Well, it's tomorrow. We'll be back. Yeah, it was not that easy for us. We spent time thinking this through, and it's just kind of amazing to me how we all come together on these decisions. All the teams and the contestants were great. I'm glad to see them. That's why she's the dean. So we're going to start with the third place winner, and that's Vivaldi. And would the members and the student teams come up, please? Who's presenting? You guys are presenting. Great. So we have $3,000 for the winning, for Vivaldi, and for the student team, $1,000. So congratulations to all. And in our second place, we have Level Up Logistics. Would the student teams also come up? Congratulations. Samantha, come on. Okay. So, to announce this year's first place winner, that'll be done by Samantha Myers, CEO of Bye Bye Cry, last year's first place winner.
This is so exciting. Good evening. I now have the pleasure of introducing this year's Spark Bowl winner. Our first place winner is Horace Health.
So congratulations to all of our Spark Bowl winners. Thank you for your participation. Thank you to the audience for being here and providing some positive energy for everybody. This is quite a show. We're really grateful, especially to our judges who ask wonderful questions. Thank you for being part of this really wonderful event.